at Nkomas. So, but moving forward is something that we are engaging with them. We encourage indeed our people to go and get services there. As a department, we are fully working with them because after they are giving them service, some of them, they might refer them to our hospitals, and also in terms of the data as far as the people that they are seeing. I also went there to see the train, and we are saying that we'll continue to work with them. And they appreciated that as a province, we are working very well with them, supporting them in providing the healthcare service in the province. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mavimbela.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to render a statement on behalf of the ANC to welcome the Minister of Finance's decision to extend the temporary fuel levy relief until June 2026. National Treasury, together with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, introduced a temporary reduction of R3 and R3.93 per litre in the general fuel levy for petrol and diesel from 1 April 2026 to May 2026. This relief will continue to support households, workers and businesses facing rising living costs overall. Fuel prices increase can create a ripple effect that touches many aspects of life, ultimately impacting economic stability and well-being of communities. Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress believes these measures will help reduce pressure on transport and other everyday expenses at the time where global prices remain high because of international conflicts. Honorable Speaker, reducing the cost of living remains a key priority of the ANC manifesto, with a focus of making goods and services more affordable to all South Africans. I thank you.
Honorable Mashilo.
Good morning, good afternoon, Honorable Speaker, and to honorable members. Well, honorable members, indeed, we welcome the member statement from Honorable Mavimbela. Indeed, it's a temporary relief. Obviously, our people, they need it so high, even for service delivery, because we must take note, if petrol, diesel goes up, it will definitely affect the services up, including the targets that we've put. However, we need to blame to the Americans, and that in the main are the driving cost or costs for this conflict, where we end up having these difficulties we are facing in the world. But for now, I think let's welcome that temporary relief. We just hope it should be made permanent. But as we all know, seated honorable members, the implications always huge, that the people can't cover this cost forever. Thank you very much.
Honorable Shangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of Mkhonto Wesizwe to raise a statement on the escalating crime crisis in Government municipality, especially in Secunda, Mbalenhle, Lebohang, King Ross, and Evander. Honorable Speaker, Government is under siege. Violent crime is out of control. Armed robberies of spaza shop and tuck shops have become a daily occurrence. In the last 3 months alone, SAPS Mbalenhle recorded 47 business robberies. That's more than 3 per week. Illegal mining and drug trades, abandoned mines in Kinross and Evander have become hubs of Zamazama operations. These operations are linked to illegal firearms, theft wars, and drug distribution in our township, hijacking and housebreaking. Residents in Secunda, CBD, and Lebohang reports hijacking at gunpoints, often in broad daylight. Many now fear leaving their homes after 6. Murder and gender-based violence. The murder rate in Government is 42 per 100,000, well above the national average. GBV cases reported at Mbalenhle police stations increased by 28% in the last quarter. Honorable Speaker, communities are frustrated, and in that frustration, some have pointed to foreign nationals who operate spaza shop as being responsible for the crime.
Your time is up, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Masia.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker. Indeed, we do welcome the member statement. The honorable member is correct that indeed the crime on the area that he has already mentioned, Yosekunda Mbalenhle police station. If you look at the recent crime stats that was released by the minister, Mbalenhle police station is one of amongst the top 30 police stations. So you are correct that indeed the crime is a problem on that area. We are working very hard to make sure that we attend to those issues, and our operation, the subs with their operation, they are working 24 hours in making sure that they do attend, particularly those stations that are highlighted to be amongst the top 30 nationally. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chibi.
Inhlikani lonene ka n'wina mana xipikara vurhangeri bya EFF xikan'we na yindlu hinkwayo. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the EFF to condemn in the strongest possible terms the brutal murder of a 3-year-old girl in Driekopies alleged at the hands of the 21-year-old man. According to the reports, the child's mother, who works as a domestic worker at the home of the accused, left her daughter slept on the couch while she was carrying out her duties. She was later instructed to go to the garage where she made the horrific discovery of a child's lifeless body, bearing head injuries. The child was declared dead at the scene. It is further alleged that the suspect became angry because of the mother had not cleaned the house to his satisfactory. This alleged act as a violence against an innocent and defenseless child is beyond comprehension and represent a level of cruelty that has no place in any civilized society. The EFF calls on law enforcement and the courts to ensure that the matter is handled with the utmost seriousness and that the accused is sentenced appropriately and decisively. As a person should not be allowed to walk amongst societies freely. We extend our deepest condolences to the grieving family and we call for the justice for the innocent child. I thank you.
Honorable Masia.
Once more, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Indeed, what the Honorable Chibi is raising is a very, very serious matter. It's not just a problem around the area of Driekopies alone. It's a societal problem that all of us we need to come together. What is happening with such an incident is a reflection of what our society has become. We are pleased that the perpetrator or the suspect has been arrested. Indeed, we will make sure that we allow the due processes of the law to take its course. We are going to make sure that the case reaches final totality and the suspect is brought before the court accordingly. No loopholes, so that we send a clear message to the public that indeed once you commit such offenses, your punishment should be very, very harshly with no mercy. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Marshall.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance to deliver a member statement. The persistent delays in the delivery of provincial infrastructure like the parliamentary village necessitates a lawful and structured intervention within the framework of the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act 8 of 2019. While the Provincial MEC for Public Works does not possess a statutory authority to unilaterally declare projects as critical infrastructure, it is both appropriate and necessary for the MEC to formally engage with the National Minister of Police through the prescribed intergovernmental processes. In this regard, the MEC must motivate with supporting evidence that specific infrastructure projects meet the criteria set out in the Act, thereby justifying their consideration by the Critical Infrastructure Council. The Act expressly provides for a regulatory regime aimed at safeguarding designated infrastructure against such threats, disruptions, and unlawful interference, which in practice includes protection measures that mitigate operational interruptions and prevent unnecessary delays in project execution. With this intervention, we will see projects finalized in time, and poor excuses for poor performance will not be the norm in the province any longer. This approach accords with the constitutional principle
Your time
of
is up,
cooperative
Honourable
governance,
Member.
as I complete.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Speaker.
Honourable Tomo.
No, thanks, Honourable Speaker. Well, we welcome the statement by Honourable Marshall and take note of what she's raising. However, I must indicate, Honourable Speaker, that as it relates to Parliamentary Village, the department is now at advanced stages. Tomorrow we were actually going to visit Parliamentary Village as per your plans, Honourable Speaker, until you postpone. But as a department, we are quite ready, and we strongly believe that now there are no hiccups that may make us not to complete the project as it is anticipated. However, we must indicate, Honourable Speaker, that we are still experiencing some minor challenges, not only in that project, but other projects as it relates to construction mafias. But we're working very close with the department responsible for safety in the province, of course liaising with the National Department of Police in the country. So we are still on course, and we are going to deliver the project as we have promised. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Mashiane.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, yesterday Action SA conducted a site visit alongside the South African Human Rights Commission in Ward 41 Mjindini Trust as part of our ongoing efforts to ensure accountability and restore dignity to communities affected by the ongoing water crisis. What we witnessed was deeply concerning. Residents shared their life realities with us and explained that many households receive water only once a week through municipal water tankers. Some residents further stated that they are required to pay in order to have their water tanks filled. Honourable Speaker, access to water is not a privilege reserved for those who can afford it. Water is a constitutional right and a basic human necessity. It is unacceptable that in 2026, communities in Mjindini Trust continue to endure prolonged water shortages while relying on inconsistent tanker services to survive. The situation reflects a serious failure in basic service delivery and raises concerns about fairness, transparency, and the dignity of residents. Action SA believes that every resident, regardless of their economic status or location, deserves equal and reliable access to clean water. We therefore call on the City of Mbombela local municipality to urgently provide clear timelines on interventions to restore sustainable water supply in Ward 41. Action SA will continue to stand with the people of Mjindini Trust and use every oversight mechanism available to ensure accountability and improve
Your
service
time is
delivery.
up.
I thank you.
Honourable Mashilo.
No, thanks, Honourable Speaker. Let me welcome the statement made by Honourable Mashian. Well, the challenge we are faced in South Africa, we've got too many informal settlements. In reference to 41, Ward 41, there are some informal areas. And indeed, obviously, in the informal settlement, they must get water through the water tankers. We agree that service must be improved by the City of Mbombela. However, we have a program now to assist some of these municipalities with the DWS to make sure we formalize, and where we formalize, we can start to put the services as permanent services. Thank you very much.
Is there any member statement? Honourable Weber.
Madam Speaker, I rise to deliver a member statement on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus with the clear understanding and hope that this member statement will also be welcomed by the governing party. Honourable Speaker, the tender system lies at the very heart of corruption in South Africa. For decades, opposition parties, including the Freedom Front Plus, have raised alarm about how tenders are abused to enrich connected individuals while communities are left behind. Yet, despite these warnings, no meaningful reform has been implemented. We now hear that the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, has vowed to abolish the tender system altogether. While this is a bold move, the Freedom Front Plus believe it goes too far. There is room for tenders in South Africa, but only if they are managed with transparency, accountability and fairness. Honourable Speaker, the problem is not the existence of tenders, but the way they are awarded. Too often a single councillor, MEC or MNC, has the power to sign off contracts worth millions. This concentration of authority invites abuse. The Freedom Front Plus proposes a new model. Tender decisions must be made by a small independent body that includes opposition parties. This would ensure oversight, prevent political favoritism, and restore
Your time
public
is up, Honourable Member. Your time is up.
Then you must be welcome this.
Honourable Mashilo.
Well, thanks, Honourable Speaker. We welcome the member statement made by Honourable Weber. Well, look, in South Africa, you have a system. We've got the PFMA and MFMA, which are the system that's used to award tenders. And tenders are awarded on a competitive approach, either on 80-20 or 90-10. And this is how the tenders have been awarded. To come to the conclusion to say awarded to friends, we should present a particular evidence for that regard. However, we reject and condemn any solicit tender that is given illegally. We believe we must follow the rules, and where there are possible corruption, let's report it like we have done with Madlanga and many. We shall follow that. Thank you.
Executive statements. Honourable members, there is an executive statement in the name of the MSc for Culture, Sport and Recreation, Honourable L.M. Mabuza. I now call the Honourable MSc Mabuza to formally present the motion for 5 minutes.
Speaker.
What is that, Honourable Chibi?
Ndola kukombela kupfuniwa ila clear ya speaker ya ngopfu. Mangoro veka la center la. Ta assist. La ran vavisa. Come speaker.
Can you proceed, Honourable Mabuza?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to greet yourself and greet all the honourable members in the House. Honourable Speaker, accepting that sport is one of the vehicles for social and economic transformation, contributing immensely to the historic vision of the better life for all, we are happy to announce that in Mpumalanga Province, we are hosting a Mbombela Open Global Series, a landmark initiative sanctioned by the International Tennis Federation. Its presence in our province firmly positions Mpumalanga within the global tennis ecosystem. It unlocks a new and a high-value sport tourism market, reinforcing our strategic objective of positioning Mpumalanga as a premier destination for international events. Furthermore, Honourable Speaker, we're proud to report that the tournament has attracted players from 31 countries, including New Zealand, France, Serbia, Costa Rica, Burundi, China, Argentina, Great Britain, India, and Spain, Russia, to mention a few. The tournament is currently underway and we congratulate Alec Beckley, a South African player, on winning the first week of the men's section, while a woman title was claimed by Duna Vaisand from France. Honourable Speaker, Week 2 will conclude on Sunday, 10 May 2026 with the finals. With your indulgence, Honourable Speaker, we take this opportunity to encourage honourable members and the people of Mpumalanga province to support this historic initiative by attending matches and participating in a broader program of activities which include promoting the rich cultural heritage tourism, offering the investment opportunities. This event presents a powerful opportunity to amplify our provincial brand on the global scale, and some of these 131 players between their matches, they have been visiting Kruger National Park, Panorama Route, Makonjwa Mountain Range, and many other breathtaking tourism jewels. Importantly, this progress has opened discussion with Tennis South Africa regarding the potential of hosting the David Cup in the near future. The Mbombela Open Global Series represents a bold step forward in leveraging sports on one of the catalysts of the economic growth and promoting Mpumalanga tourism as a brand of choice, the province of the rising sun. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. I shall now allow leaders of political parties to comment for 3 minutes in the following order: MK Party, EFF, DA, Freedom Front Plus, Action SA, ANC. I will call Honorable Ngumayo on behalf of the MKP.
Inkomo Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have listened carefully to the statement by the Honorable MEC Mabuza, and while we acknowledge the importance of sport in Mpumalanga, as well as that is a tool for social cohesion and economic development, we must not allow glossy events to mask the harsh realities faced by the people of Mpumalanga. We don't want to end up blaming it on the Americans. Yes, Honorable Mabuza, the Mbombela Open Global Series is a prestigious event, and it brings international players and attention to the province. But, Honorable Speaker, the fundamental question remains, who will truly benefit? Because outside the tennis courts, we have communities that are struggling. Young people in rural areas still do not have access to basic sports facilities. Many schools have no proper fields, no equipment, and no structured development programs. Talent in villages and townships continue to be neglected while millions are spent hosting these elite events. Honorable Speaker, sports cannot only be about tourism and international branding. It must first serve the people of Mpumalanga, and it must be accessible, it must be inclusive, and it must be developmental. We also note the MEC's emphasis on tourism spin-offs, the Kruger National Park, Panorama Route, and other attractions. But again, we ask, who is the real beneficiary in this one? Are small businesses, informal traders, township entrepreneurs meaningfully included, or are they spectators in the economy that excludes them? As the official opposition in this legislature, we are not against hosting international events. We are against a model that prioritizes image over impact. We therefore call for the following: a clear breakdown, provincial sports development plan, mandatory inclusion of local businesses in these events. Until sports development reaches the villages of Bushbuck Ridge, the townships of Malahleni, and the communities of Nkomazi, we cannot claim victory. In closing, Honorable Speaker, we must build a province where sports is not an occasional spectacle, but a daily reality of our people, or else we will keep on blaming the Americans for our shortfalls. Nyabo.
I will now call upon the Honorable Chibi on behalf of the EFF.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Malachi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and greetings to yourself. I'm not sure there is a mistake. It is Honorable Ndlovu who have amended the Speaker's list. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ndlovu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the EFF notes the exclusive statement by the MEC with the seriousness it deserves, but also with direct clarity on our revolutionary mandate. We acknowledge the hosting of the Mbombela Open Global Series as an international event that takes place in Mpumalanga on a global platform. However, we are concerned, Honorable MEC, as to who truly benefit from this global positioning. Is it the ordinary people of Mpumalanga, particularly the poor, the unemployed youth, and the working class? Or is it another allied show that leaves our community as audience in our own province? Honorable MEC, as the EFF, we strongly believe in economic emancipation and the return of wealth to the people. Therefore, we cannot engage in empty celebration without interrogating a material impact of our people. Firstly, what is a direct economic benefit to local communities? How many jobs have been created for the people of Mbombela and surroundings? What procurement opportunities have been given to local-owned businesses? Secondly, tennis in South Africa generally remains an exclusive sport, very inaccessible to the black majority due to infrastructure and cost. What programs has the department put in place to ensure that young people in rural villages and townships can access tennis facilities? Or are we simply importing international players while neglecting to build the channel for our local talent? Thirdly, MEC, how much has been spent on hosting this tournament, and how does that compared to the investment in public sports infrastructure in the province, especially in neglected rural schools where children still play on dusty ground, even ground without basic kits? Lastly, MEC, the EFF is not opposed to the international event. We are opposed to inequality, exclusion, and the use of public resources for image building exercises that do not benefit our people. Your government cannot commit to hosting prestige global tournament while our people remain excluded from the very economy this event claims to stimulate. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I now call upon the Honorable T. Marshall on behalf of the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, we warmly welcome this historic initiative as it opens much more than simply a sporting platform for our province. It also opens opportunities for economic growth, tourism development, youth empowerment, skills development, job creation, and international recognition for Mpumalanga province. The Mbombela Open Global Series demonstrates the power of sport to unite people while stimulating local economic activity. The tournament benefits hotels, restaurants, transport operators, tourism establishments, formal traders, and small businesses as athletes, officials, and visitors from across the world spend time in our province. This contributes meaningfully to local economic development and supports jobs within our communities. Honourable Speaker, this event also creates hope and inspiration for young people, especially aspiring athletes from disadvantaged communities. It gives them the opportunity to witness international level tennis in their own province, and encourage them to believe that they too can compete on global stages one day. In this way, sport becomes a tool for social transformation, discipline, personal growth, and social inclusion. Furthermore, the tournament also strengthens the profile of Mpumalanga as a tourism and investment destination. Players and visitors from more than 31 countries are experiencing the beautiful and hospitality of our province throughout the visit to interact with many of our tourist attractions. This international exposure assists gently in marketing Mpumalanga as a destination of choice for tourism, investment, and for future global events. Importantly, Honourable Speaker, while we celebrate this achievement, we also hope to see meaningful and lasting benefits for the people of Mpumalanga. We hope this initiative will lead to increased investment in sporting infrastructure, development programs for young athletes, and sustainable job opportunities, support for local businesses, and broader participation in sports across our communities. The true success of this tournament must ultimately be measured by the positive impact it leaves behind for ordinary citizens, especially the youth. The success of this tournament also opened doors for future opportunities, including discussions around hosting the Davis Cup in the near future. It confirms that Mpumalanga is steadily becoming recognized as a capable host of world-class sporting events. We therefore commend all stakeholders.
Your time is up.
Thank you, Speaker.
I now call upon the Honorable W.L. Weber from the Freedom Front Plus.
Madam Speaker, as you can see, I still battle with my eye. I've got to have a cornea transplant, most probably in June. I think I know the donor. The donor has got beautiful eyes, but unfortunately is still alive. Now, Madam Speaker, I welcome this development unreservedly. If I think of international tournaments presented in South Africa, I normally think of Ellis Park in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and so forth. But all of a sudden now it's going to be in Mpumalanga. It's going to be around this area. We have much more to offer than Gauteng. We have a beautiful scenery here, and this tournament will showcase our beauty. And I unreservedly welcome this move, and I thank them who have organized it. I thank you.
I will now call upon the Honorable Mashiane from the Action SA.
Honourable Speaker, Action SA acknowledges the hosting of the Mbombela Open Global Series as a positive opportunity to place Mpumalanga on the international sporting map. We welcome every initiative that has the potential to attract investment, tourism, and economic activity into our province. But, Honourable Speaker, the real test of leadership is not how well we host visitors for a weekend. It is how well we serve our own people every single day. Because outside the lights of the tournament venue, there is another Mpumalanga the executive statement does not speak about. It is the Mpumalanga where young people in places like Matsulu, Wamhlanga, Mbalenhle, and Bushbuckridge still play football on uneven dusty fields with no ablution facilities, no proper changing rooms, and no security. We cannot celebrate global sporting prestige while community libraries remain closed, recreational facilities deteriorate, and youth unemployment continues to rise. Because the same young people we applaud when they win medals are often abandoned long before they even reach a professional stage. The executive statement speaks proudly about international participation from 31 countries, but says very little about local economic inclusion, we must ask these difficult questions. How many local SMEs benefit from this event? How many township vendors participate? How many young athletes from disadvantaged communities were given exposure through this tournament? And most importantly, what legacy remains after the banners come down and the cameras leave? Tourists may enjoy a golf course for a few days, but our people live permanently with potholes, water shortage. Economic branding cannot replace governance. We want to see a province where young talents from rural communities receive support and exposure, and public money allocated to sport is transparently managed. That is the Mpumalanga Action SA wants to build. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
That brings us to the end. Oh, sorry. Honorable Masango.
It's okay. Notice, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, Honorable Speaker, the event of 2010 was not giving hope until it touched the ground. And everyone celebrated with joy. And as an African National Congress, I rise on behalf of the ANC to applaud the work that the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture and Recreation is doing in improving the lives of youth in Mpumalanga and the other people in particular. Kumnande ka akunomnyanya, siyathokoza MEC. Nelson Mandela once said, sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to unite people. Honorable MEC, the first president uMongameli wabantu uthi nangimtsubhulako ezemidlalo zikhuluma nelutsha lonke eSouth Africa, Mpumalanga in particular. On the language they understand and create hope and break the boundaries of all apartheid racial barriers and more effectively. The ANC 55th National Conference resolved and directed government that to leverage all the art and culture roles of building patriotism, sense of nationalism, new national identity which transcend race, religion, tribalism, and other identities must be consolidated to be able to assist and achieve the objectives of building a national democratic society. It is in the interest to see the tennis in graduating gaining popularity in society and especially to previously advantaged communities. Honorable Speaker, we anticipated that this sporting code will ultimately be introduced in our schools, in the rural areas, and ultimately everyone will benefit, and that necessitate infrastructure will be provided and to bring the gaps of social inequality. This should include the people with disability. Honorable Speaker, umnyanya lo ukhuluma into ekulu uthi MEC uyayilandela futhi uyihlalele khulu ihlangano ebisako na idirector. Siba ukuthi uqhubeke ke uberegela ukuthi bonke abantu abalila ngabo abalungu eParliament babe ngaphakathi kokubenefita. Furthermore, the ANC wishes to submit its commitment to provide necessary support towards the tournament in ensuring that the event becomes successful and the people of Mpumalanga benefit in terms of the economical opportunities that its occasion has to offer. Thank you very much.
Ulutsha lwethu luyazi tennis Masango, ulutsha luyazi tennis.
That brings us to the end of the executive statement. Motion without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Honorable Mahlangu.
Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress has learned with disbelief the disaster that has caused by hailstorm in Buffelsspruit and Potchefstroom, Nkomazi municipality. Noting that not so long ago, Mbuzini also in Nkomazi experienced a disastrous hailstorm that damaged close to 150 households. In the latest disaster in Buffelsspruit, Salem Primary School, businesses, an uncertain number of houses' roofs were severely damaged. the extent of damage is still being assessed. Further noting that the weather services has warned public of severe thunderstorm which may result in overflowing bridges. Somlomo wesibethamthetho seMpumalanga. Ihlangano kaKhongolose ithanda ukurabhela beyelelise abantu beMpumalanga bonyana bayelele amazibuko namabhlorho aphuphumako lapho khona kuneenkhukhula ukuthi bangachideli kizo. Njengoba sibonile usorhwebo othe nakazama ukwela noma ukwela izibuko lapha eKomatipoort wahluleka wagcina adliwe ingulukudela nengwenya ngendlela ezwisa ubuhlungu. I so move Somlomo.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to?
Agreed.
As so agreed. Honorable Nkonyane.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the African National Congress, I would like to deliver a motion without notice and celebrate the successful delivery of the triplets at Dintswalo Hospital in Bushbuck Ridge Local Municipality. Speaker, on the 2nd of May 2026, Ms. Cindy Pindile Matlakwane, 39-year-old, delivered triplets, all females. Noting that triplets pregnancy are rare and normally classified as high risk. Multiple gestation and requires advanced maternal and neonatal intensive care, which the multidisciplinary team of Dintswalo Hospital was equal to the task. Honorable Speaker, the successful delivery of the triplets demonstrates that even our rural public health facilities are capable of providing specialized high care services. It is worth mentioning that Dintswalo Hospital has recorded 0 maternal death from April 2025 to April 2026 and 0 neonatal death in March and April 2026. The African National Congress expressed its best wishes to Ms. Matekwane, and we acknowledge the exceptional effort of the healthcare professionals of the hospital, and we believe other health care facilities across the province will learn from Dintswalo Hospital best practice. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to?
Agreed.
As so agreed. Honorable Lukele.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of MK Party to raise the pain felt by residents of Lekwa local municipality with regards to how their lives are affected by the lack of communication from the local leaders in view of how electricity supply gets disrupted. Residents of Lekwa, including Standard Tone, Mahason, and Sakile, have endured prolonged, repeated interruptions to electricity supply for over 18 months, with some areas experiencing outages of close to 12 to 24 hours at a time. The interruptions are caused by the combination of ISCOM load reduction, aging municipality infrastructure, non-payment to ISCOM, illegal connections, and failure to maintain substations and transformers. The lack of reliable electricity has had a devastating impact on the residents' daily life. Small businesses in Sanaton CBD have closed or are operating at 30% capacity due to inability to refrigerate, stock, and run equipment. Schools and clinics in Sakile are unable to operate computers, store medication, or provide basic services during outages. Households relying on electricity stoves and geysers are left without cooking facilities and hot water, particularly affecting elderly and child-headed households during winter. Water supply is also compromised as water treatment plants and pump stations depend on electricity to function. Honorable Speaker, Section 24 of the Constitution guarantees the right to an environment that is not harmful to health and well-being of the citizens. Section 27 guarantees the right to sufficient water electricity disruption directly undermines both. Section 1521B of the Constitution mandates municipalities to ensure that the provision of services to communities is sustainable, it's in a sustainable manner. Lekwa municipality has failed in this constitutional duty. The municipality currently owes ISCOM over 2.1 billion, yet there is no credible. I so move, Speaker.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to?
Agree.
Motion defeated. Honorable Masango.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Democratic Alliance to deliver a motion without notice. The Democratic Alliance would like to congratulate the newly crowned Ms. Mpumalanga 2026 on her achievement. Honourable Speaker, 24-year-old Masibulele Mdebele from Bethel in Garsibande district, my district, Honourable Speaker, was crowned Ms. Mpumalanga 2026 on 11 April at the Communal Auditorium here in Bombela. Honourable members, the reason I'm very excited about the achievement, she is from Garsibande and Kavanbegi, where it is very rare for our achievements to be recognized and celebrated in Mpumalanga province. Therefore, we as the DA are calling for this August House and respectable House to be in unison and congratulate Masibulele Mdebele on his milestone and achievement. Let us wish her well for the year ahead and hope that she represents the Garsibande district and the rest of our province with flying colors. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to?
Agree.
As so agreed. Honorable Sidibe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on behalf of the economic freedom fighters to appreciate the Provincial Department of Health for permanently deploying professional doctors in the community health care centers around the province. We appreciate this move because it is the EFF policy that all clinics must have permanent nurses and doctors, ambulances, and that they must operate 24 hours every day. So we thank you, MEC, for heeding to the EFF call for provision of quality health care to our people and also aligning to our policies. We are not praising a fish for swimming, Honorable Speaker, but we are giving credit where it is due, because this is the first step in the right direction. I so move.
The question.
Agreed.
No.
Agreed. Agreed.
I did not ask any of you to respond.
We know why you're going. We're responding. We're asking you, Speaker. We're agreeing with the motion.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to?
Agreed.
No. Motion defeated.
You defeat your own.
Is there any motion without notice? Is there any motion without notice?
It's not a motion.
Honorable Mkabela.
Thank you very much. It's not a motion. I'm just standing up to say I didn't vote because my mic was switched off. Can they switch it on so that I can make my yes or no? Thank you. I didn't vote. What are you saying? You don't want me to participate in this House? Speaker, I
Honorable
didn't vote. My
Mkabela,
mic
don't
was
address
off.
the House, but
No,
address me as the presiding officer.
Honorable Speaker, I didn't vote. Can I please cast my vote? Thank you. My mic was off.
Honorable Mkabela, this will not make any difference because already some of the honorable members have said no, and the final conclusion is that the motion will be defeated.
But I would have loved to vote as well. Am I not supposed to participate in this House? Who's switching off our microphones?
Can you vote, Honorable Mkabela?
Yes.
The motion is defeated. Is there any motion without notice? Notices of motion? Are there notices of motion? Honorable Makabane.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the African National Congress to move a notice of motion that the House notes that the University of Mpumalanga is currently home of 13,077 students and continues to expand year after year, with its main campus situated in Bombela and a satellite campus in Siabuswa, and that these students are among the beneficiaries of the ANC's policies decision to establish the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, a landmark initiative designed to assist the children of the most vulnerable citizens of the province and the country at large. I call upon the House in its next sitting to debate and reflect upon positive socio-economic and educational impact that the establishment of the University of Mpumalanga has brought to the people of province, acknowledging the transformative role that the institution has played in expanding access to higher education and fostering human development in the province. Further calls upon the people of the province to fully take advantage of the wide-ranging economic spin-off associated with this colossal institution, which upon completion is estimated to accommodate more than 25,000 students, recognizing that such an institution presents significant opportunities for local businesses, employment, entrepreneurship, and sustainable economic growth for the communities and around Mbombela and the province at large. I so move, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
The motion is noted and will be dealt with accordingly. Honorable Lukele.
Honorable Speaker, in 2006, former Premier TSP Makwetla established the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency, the MTPA, by merging the Mpumalanga Tourism Authority and the Mpumalanga Parks Board under Act number 5 of 2005. The MTPA was given 3 core pillars, which is conservation of the management, tourism growth and marketing, and socio-economic development. Honorable Speaker, MTPA has failed to deliver on any of these pillars. Instead, it continues to bleed the taxpayers while they're delivering nothing in return. Therefore, on behalf of Umkhonto weSizwe Party, I move that this House, at its next sitting, debate the dissolution of the MTPA in its current form as a Schedule 3C public entity, and in that we debate the restructuring of it into a private-public partnership model with clear performance target and private sector accountability. I so move.
The motion is noted and will be dealt with accordingly. Are there notices of motions? Formal motions? There is a formal motion on the order paper. Honorable S.J. Masango. I have a speakers list in front of me. I will now call upon the Honorable S.J. Masango from the Democratic Alliance, and you are given 6 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, thank for this opportunity to debate the conditions of the school's infrastructure, especially in Chief Albert Luthuli municipality. However, this is a problem across Mpumalanga. This is the proper time for such a debate, as taking legislature to the people is still fresh on our minds. Honorable Speaker, let me start by quoting Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa, and I open quote, "Education is the powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," close quote. The Constitution in the Bill of Rights, section 29(1)(b), says everyone has the right to education, which the state, through reasonable measures, must make available and accessible. Honorable Speaker, available and accessible alone is not enough. But there must also be furnished classroom, competent educators, learners, teachers, support materials, and toilets for everyone. Once one of the above are in place, then you can talk about availability and access to education. However, that is not the case at some schools that I went to in Chief Albert Lithuli. We witnessed horrific learning environments due to lack of classrooms and toilets. In some schools, the conditions are not conducive for learning. Learners and educators are faced with building structures that may endanger their lives when responding to nature's call. Listening to the learners, SGB members and educators, they were all complaining about the dilapidated school buildings, bad, unhealthy, and unsafe conditions of the toilets. The province is sitting with a high numbers of learners dropping out from grade 1 to grade 12. We had 99,441 grade 1 learners in 2013, but only 54,561 passed grade 12 in 2025, which is a 54.87%. Sorry, Speaker. It is my personal feeling that the most contributor to the dropout is the dilapidated infrastructures. Learners feel undignified and ashamed of their schools that they attend. However, Honourable Speaker, we must commend the performance of the learners in Chief Albert Lithuli, a rural municipality with a high number of unemployment and poverty. The matrix average pass rate is at an excellent 88% pass, something to be proud of. The learners and teachers are doing well, however, the environment is not conducive for learning. That is the responsibility of government as indicated by Section 29 of the Constitution. We should be concerned that most schools dropouts are sitting at home, unemployed, and most of those who persevere and went further to tertiary institutions are also unemployed. Never mind them becoming criminals. There is a time bomb looming, Honourable Speaker. It is the government's duty to create an environment that is conducive to learning, business to thrive, and for economy to grow. The Mpumalanga government is failing on all this. Honourable Speaker, this brings me to another quote by President Mandela, and I open quote. Education is a great engine for personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a person can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of a mine, that a child of a farm worker can become a president of a great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another, close quote. In simple terms, Honourable Speaker, a child from Chief Albert Lithuli mustn't be judged on the circumstances of their birth, upbringing, the conditions of the family and community they come from, but be given an opportunity to prove themselves. Honourable Speaker, we must be mindful and take into account the population growth in our province and also illegal immigration. We can't maintain what we have now. If we can't maintain what we have now, it means we will never catch up with the construction of new schools. Overcrowding is getting worse year by year. I thank you, Speaker.
I will now call upon the Honorable T.S. Koza from the ANC, and we are given 8 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, honorable members of this August House, distinguished guests, all protocol observed. Honorable Speaker, in South Africa, provincial education's responsibilities are guided by the Constitution. The South African Schools Act number 84 of 1996, the National Education Policy Act, number 27 of 1996, are related norms and standards. The member of the Executive Council for Education serves as the authority at the provincial level and is primarily accountable for ensuring that public schools are equipped with proper infrastructure. SASSA sections 5A and 58C states that the MEC must ensure that schools meet legally binding minimum norms and standards for school infrastructure, providing water, electricity, sanitation, safe classrooms, and essential teaching equipment. Honorable Speaker, as a point of departure, the notice of motion sponsored by Honorable Masango is misleading because it says schools without specifying them. My reading of it says that all the schools in Chief Albert Lutuli local municipality have infrastructure challenges. I view this as a premature grandstanding, mainly propelled by political opportunism. In view of this, I concede that there are schools with such challenges in Albert Lutuli, and some of the schools have up-to-date infrastructure which promotes quality teaching and learning. As part of our mandate as a portfolio committee on education, the condition of some schools' infrastructure in the Chief Albert Lutuli local municipality remains a matter of serious importance, as it directly affects the quality of learning and teaching, and we work very hard with the Department of Education to resolve these challenges. With the conviction we possess as the African National Congress predicated on education being our #1 priority, we are adamant that some of the challenges faced by some of the schools in the municipality will significantly be dealt with. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, we have a mammoth task as the education fraternity. Hence, we have made significant progress in dealing with areas that were previously disfranchised in black residential areas. The unfortunate part, Honorable Speaker, is when one such as the sponsor of this motion seeks cheap political points, but by deliberately turning a blind eye from the task before us and completely ignoring the milestones achieved by the Department of Education in its quest to improve education, and only capable to grandstand for the purpose of misleading members of the public. Through the program Taking Legislature to the People, the Portfolio Committee on Education conducted oversight visits to several schools within the municipality. These visits provided valuable first-hand insight into both progresses achieved and the challenges that still require urgent attention. Honorable Speaker, in some of the schools we visited, we observed infrastructure-related challenges that impact daily learning. Among these were the damaged ceilings, broken doors and windows, and aging facilities that require ongoing maintenance. A particularly concerning issue noted during these visits was the prevalence of termite infestation in certain schools. This has a direct impact on both the furniture and learning and teaching support materials, comprising resources that are essential for effective teaching and learning. However, Honorable Speaker, it is equally important to highlight the interventions that are currently underway. The Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport has initiated a process to address and maintain infrastructure backlogs in all affected schools. In addition, the Mpumalanga Regional Training Trust plays a supportive role by assisting with critical renovations. These include the repair of ceilings, fixing of doors and windows, and other necessary improvements aimed at restoring functionality and safety within school environments. These collaborative efforts demonstrate that while challenges exist, there is a coordinated response to address them. Honorable Speaker, infrastructure development and maintenance require sustained effort, proper planning, and consistent oversight. As the Portfolio Committee, we remain committed to ensuring that the work being undertaken translates into meaningful improvements on the ground. Our responsibility is not only to identify areas of concern, but to ensure that interventions are implemented effectively and within reasonable time frames. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress remains steadfast in its commitment to improving school infrastructure and ensuring that learning environments are safe, dignified, conducive to quality education. We further commit ourselves says the African National Congress that the schools with infrastructure challenges in Albert Lutuli are receiving attention at the level of the portfolio committee with the department, and want to state that some schools' infrastructure challenges are currently attended. As a matter of principle, we acknowledge the challenges observed during the oversight in some of the schools and equally pride ourselves with some of the schools with good infrastructure which augmented conducive teaching and learning that translated good metric pass rate. As a portfolio committee, we will continue to exercise our oversight mandate to ensure that progress is sustained and that outcomes are delivered. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I now call upon the Honorable GM demanded from the MKP, and we are given 11 minutes.
Ngithanda ukubonga somlomo ohloniphekile namalunga ahloniphekile shaya mthetho. Ngiyanibingelela. Ngisukuma igameni lomkhonto wesizwe. Ngizothula inkulumo emayelana nezakhiwo zezikole ezisezingeni elibi nelingagculisi ikakhulukazi esifundazweni sethu iMpumalanga uma singabhekisa endaweni yase Chief Albert Lutuli. Le nkulumo le akuyona i-grandstanding futhi akuyona i-political point scoring. Sikhuluma la ngempilo nekusasa lezingane zethu ezifunda ngaphansi kwesimo esingagculisi neze neze. Izingane zethu okanye lezi zikole zibhekene nenkulu ingwadla yokudilika kwezakhiwo nezindonga ezindala ezigugile ezisezaphelelwa isikhathi ezingadala ingozi enkulu empilweni zezingane zethu. Lezi zindawo okanye lezi zikolo eziningi singabala izindawo ezifana neCarolina, iBad Plus, eLukwatini, Manzana, Chakastad, Deepdale, Feni. Uma sihambela zonke lezi zikole siyathola ukuthi inqalasizinda zalezi zikole azikho esimeni esigculisayo. Angisayiphathi ke indaba yezinye zezikole ziyavalwa uma kuna imvula. Lokho okwenza ukuthi abafundi bethu okuyikusasa labo leli balahlekelwe isikhathi sokufunda. Izindlela azihambeki. Izindlela ezingena ngasezikolweni zigcwele imigodi. Ezinye zalezi zikole ziyisidleke sobugebengu. Kukamachanqa nje impunzi edla emini. Ucingo lokubiyela alukho kanye nomantshingelana abagada isikole abekho. Izingane zethu zamantombazana ngizoyiphinda le ndaba le ikakhulukazi yamantombazana ngoba yiwona abhekene nenkinga enkulu lapha ezikolweni. Izingane zethu zamantombazana aziphephanga neze neze futhi nesithunzi sawo sidiqilelwa phansi. Izinga lalezi zindlu zangasese ikakhulukazi zamantombazana azikho ezingeni ligculisayo. Lokhu kufanele kusukume omama ngoba njengobaba uma ngingakhuluma okunye kwenzekayo lapha ya kuzothiwa ngisengena izindaba zabantu besifazana. Omama bayazi ukuthi kwenzakalani ezikolweni zethu. uMEC kufanele ayibuke indaba yama officials lawa adla imali ngecorruption. Lama officials athatha imali okufanele iye kulezi zinqala zizinda aqhasha izihlobo zabo nosonkontileka abangawazi umsebenzi wabo. Aba mobile classes kufanele ahambisane nezidingo zabafundi ikakhulukazi lezikole sizibiza ukuthi ama special schools. Mhlonisho Majuba wasithembisa ngimthemba futhi ukuthi uzoyifaka imali kuma department bese uyayilandela. Ngiyavuma uyayifaka imali kepha angikholwa ukuthi uyayilandela ngalendlela ama officials ayisebenzisa ngakhona le mali. I-infrastructure yezikole zethu ingaba sezingeni elihle uma singenza lokhu okulandelayo. Imigwaqo engenela ngasezikolweni mayilungiswe. Ama-mobile classes okufanele adeliver ezikolweni mawahambisane nezidingo zabafundi. Uzokwazi ukwehlisa izinga lokugcwala kwamaklasi okanye amagumbi okufundela. Siyazi ke ukuthi akubi khona imfundo lesibiza ukuthi proper education to abantwana bethu uma ngabe iclass ligcwele abafundi abangu-90. Omasipala bethu bonke ba financially broke, and this thing is embarrassing ukuthi amanzi ezikolweni zethu awafiki uma sicela umasipala bathi imali ayikho. Izikole lezi esizibiza ukuthi ama special schools kufanele kwakhiwe ama boarding facilities kuzona ngoba izingane zethu ezingaphili kahle lezi ezingaboni ezingezwa nezingakhona ukuhamba kufanele zakhelwe ama boarding facilities ukuzokwazi ukuthi kunciphe lezinga lokuthi bavuka ekseni kakhulu bahambe ibanga elide bafike ezikolweni bayagula bafika ezikolweni bakhathele bafika ezikolweni bafuna ukulashwa ngokusheshsha. Ngakho ke uma ngabe ama boarding school akhona lapha ezikolweni
Speaker,
ngaba lula. Okunye okulandelayo.
Ndimande, can you please take your seat, Honorable Nkonyana?
thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Can the honorable member please withdraw kulamagama ukuthi ingane ezingaphili kahle, ingane eziphila ngokukhubazeka, ukungaphili kahle sengenye into.
Honorable Ndimande.
Ngiyabonga mhlonishwa ngiyawahoxisa lawo mazwi ngoba vele akufanele izingane ngisithanda ngenhliziyo yami yonke nama ngifuna ukubabiza ngamagama angafanele ngiyaxolisa kuloko.
Kodwa masi correcteni as the house. Izingane ezikhubazekile. You can proceed.
Ngiyabonga. Okulandelayo mhlonishwa ukuba sibe nokuplana i-planning siyeke ukunikeza izigidigidi zamarandi kubantu abangangenalo ulwazi lokwakha izingqala zezinda zethu. I-accountability ibalulekile futhi nayo nokuboshwa kwabantu ukubblacklistwa kwawo wonke labo sonkontileka ababhedayo njengalo nkontileka odle imali engango 12 million eCaroline owakhe i-foundation wabaleka nemali. Let's get rid of all these corrupt officials who are incompetent and we have to root out all the rotten potatoes who are making the entire life of our learners difficult. Nakuso lesi simo esinzima umkhonto wesizwe uyathemba ukuthi izingane zethu noma zibhekene nalenkinga yokuhlukumezeka ngezinga le-infrastructure engekho emthethweni zizophumelela ziphase kahle zibeke isifundazwe sethu impumalanga ezingeni eliphezulu. Sumhloniphe futhi uChief Albert Luthuli owathi ku Freedom Charter the doors of education shall be open for all. Ngiyabonga mgcini umhlali wangaphambili.
I will now call upon the Honorable N.P. Mkabela from the EFF, and you are given 8 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, we can debate the conditions of schools in Chief Albert Luthuli the entire day, but the reality remains unchanged on the ground. Year after year, we are told about plans, budgets, and interventions that never materialize into real change where it matters most. You all know that the ANC-led government will rather prioritize prestigious events, photo opportunities, and ceremonial displays than confront the real crisis facing the future of the black child in a classroom without dignity, safety, and basic resources. But we are not surprised, Honorable Speaker, the ANC-led government has never taken education seriously. That is precisely why even its own leadership is filled with individuals who have never meaningfully engaged with a textbook. Honorable Speaker, the condition of school infrastructure in Chief Albert Lutuli is not just a concern, it is a crisis, a deep and painful crisis that has been allowed to continue for far too long by a government that claims to care about the future of our children. Our children in Chief Albert Lutuli are forced to learn under conditions that are not only inadequate, but deeply undignified, conditions that no child, especially a black child in a democratic South Africa, should ever be subjected to. Classrooms are overcrowded with limited space for effective teaching and learning. In some schools, learners are forced to share desks while others sit in classrooms with broken windows, cracked walls, and leaking roofs. Speaker, this is the daily lived reality of the black child. Honorable Speaker, sanitation remains a serious concern. There are schools where safe and proper toilet facilities are still not guaranteed. What does this say about commitment to dignity? What does this say about the safety of our children, particularly young girls, who are forced to navigate these unsafe and degrading environments? What happened to the basic human rights to education as enshrined in the Constitution? Is the ANC-led government not denying these children their right to dignity, equality, and safety? Beyond that, schools in the province generally lack basic learning facilities such as libraries and laboratories. Without these critical resources, learners are structurally disadvantaged from the very beginning, condemned to inequality before they even have a chance to compete.
Honorable Speaker.
Speaker, we cannot...
Honorable Mukabela, can you please take your seat? Honorable Skwakwa.
Yeah, no thanks, Honorable Speaker. I just want to find to the Honorable Member that is prepared to take a question.
What question in a debate?
Honorable
We are
Mukabela.
thoroughly out of order.
I don't have time to play, Honorable Speaker.
Akuhlale kahle, kuyangena.
Honorable Sidibe, I did not recognize you. You must speak through the presiding officer. Honorable Mukabela, can you please proceed?
Speaker, we cannot expect quality results from an environment that does not support quality learning. We cannot continue to demand excellence from children while they are subjected to failure through neglect. Our children travel long distances, waking up in the early hours of the morning, walking kilometers to reach these schools only to find conditions that do not match their determination, their resilience, and their hunger for education. Year after year, budget allocations are announced. Year after year, the figures look impressive on paper, but on the ground there is no action. There is decay, there is neglect, and there is a growing sense that accountability has been replaced by excuses. Honorable Speaker, this is not just about infrastructure. This is about dignity. This is about equality. This is about the future of the black child, a future that continues to be compromised by the failures of this government. The EFF maintains that this is not just incompetence. It is a political failure of priorities. A system that can fund prestige but cannot fix a toilet in a school is a system that has lost its moral direction. Honorable Speaker, we cannot continue like this. The dignity of learners cannot be secondary to your government. The future of our children cannot be sacrificed like this. The people of Chief Albert Lutuli deserve more than speeches. They deserve functioning schools, real infrastructure, and a government that treats their children as a priority. These conditions must be addressed with urgency and decisiveness. There must be immediate and radical investment in rebuilding and maintaining school infrastructure. Every learner must have access to a safe, dignified, and conducive learning environment, not tomorrow, not in the next budget cycle, but now. Honorable Speaker, the question we must ask ourselves is simple.
Switch on your mic.
It's on now, thank you. Honorable Speaker, the question we must ask ourselves is simple. If education is a right, why is it treated like a privilege for the poor? Our children cannot continue to learn in conditions that undermine their potential, crush their dignity, and limit their future. Free education does not mean collapsing standards. It means quality infrastructure, safe learning environment, and the protection of dignity for every learner. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I now call upon the Honorable W.L. Weber from the Freedom Front Plus, and you're given 4 minutes. You can debate where you are, Honorable Weber.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. As I have reminded you, it's going to happen in June, and thereafter I will be fine. Madam Speaker, what is happening in Albert Lutuli is a disappointment, it's an embarrassment, but still it's in our province. This province belongs to us all, and I will not abuse this opportunity to lambast the ANC. We are opposition parties. I have been reminded by the ANC that I must oppose, but I will do that constructively. This is our province. From the Freedom Front Plus side, I want to assure you, our sleeves are rolled up. We want to contribute. We want to build. We want to do it shoulder against shoulder. We will build this country, this province, and we will solve the problem of Albert Lutuli together because it's our province. I thank you.
I will now call upon the Honorable A.M. Weber from the Democratic Alliance, and you're given 6 minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The oversight visits to the schools in Chief Albert Lutuli opened a big can of worms, bringing forth the question of whether both the Departments of Education and Public Works deliver basic services to the learners of Mpumalanga so that they can fulfill their dreams and receive an education. The answer to that question is no. The dream of an excellent school is to have enough permanently appointed teachers, a principal, enough classrooms with a learner-teacher ratio 1:40, proper toilets, and of course, sports fields with equipment for extracurricular activities. The expectation when we do oversight is to at least witness schools move forward instead of backwards, especially if countless letters have been sent to the Department of Education and Public Works since 2015. Requesting urgent help. Shockingly, they were ignored. During the oversight at Lilanga High School, we found that pit toilets are not eradicated. There are only 2 working pit toilets for 1,000 learners, queuing to await their turn to use the toilet. Honourable MEC, I thought Mpumalanga had eradicated all pit toilets. In 2020, the Mpumalanga Provincial Government appointed the Department of Public Works with 1.6 million from Provincial Human Settlements to be the implementing agent that would do the following renovations and upgrades at Lilanga High School. Demolition of 6 pit latrines, drill and equip existing boreholes, construct 2 drinking fountains, construct 14 Enviro-Loo toilets, renovate for waterborne septic tanks. This was supposed to be completed in January 2022, but nada. Nothing. What happened to the 1.6 million that was budgeted for public works to deliver? No one talks about it. Where's the accountability? This also raises the question of how the rest of the province's schools look like. Disappointingly, on an oversight to 2 schools in Nkomazi, we found that these schools are severely damaged by storms in 2023-24. Some classes do not have roofs. This leads to learners moving into already overcrowded classrooms as there are no other schools nearby to accommodate them, up to 99 learners in one class. Is this acceptable? Is this conducive? Will this lead to quality education? I don't think so. The worst is that National Treasury gave them 11 million rand in a previous financial year to fix storm-damaged schools. Honourable Speaker, Treasury in Mpumalanga asked the department what happened to that 11 million rand. To make matters worse, a further 12 million rand grant was given in 25-26 for that financial year, and not a cent of that grant was spent. What happened to all the money? Where did it go? Surely this money could not be used for anything else, as this was a disaster and monies were given specifically for these schools. There is currently a school in Steve Twete that was visited by the Education Department in April this year, informing them that they are going to spend 11 million rand to refurbish the school. Why not fix the schools that are desperately in need of roofs and extra classrooms in the province first, before we refurbish schools that are not in dire need? Surely the department needs to prioritize in their strategic planning sessions. If we continue on this road, we will be seeing more and more schools like Lilanga High School. This province needs 747 schools. During his SOPA address this year, the Premier promised to build 29 schools, but the 6 schools promised last year are only 15% complete. In the meantime, schools are closed and others are massively overcrowded. The closed schools are then given back to Public Works, where they are not used, and within a couple of years, these schools are broken down to the ground. Why is this acceptable? Why can these schools not be refurbished and turned into vocational schools? When a school is closed, the learners are placed in nearby schools which are already overcrowded. Where do the teachers and staff go? Is this maybe part of the ghost teachers? It is high time for the Department of Education to prioritize and deliver. The department is closing schools faster than we can build them. Do I have to remind this House that there is currently an investigation ongoing regarding 114 million rand that was allegedly spent on refurbishment at specific schools in Mpumalanga? Firstly, the schools didn't need refurbishment, and secondly, refurbishment wasn't done at these schools, and the money is missing. Colleagues, we cannot continue to fool ourselves and think that we are delivering good quality education to Mpumalanga learners. Learners need classrooms, running water, proper toilets, a table and a chair per learner, qualified teachers, and not more than 40 learners per classroom for them to be able to function and reach their dreams of a good quality education. These must be some of the priorities of both the Department of Education and Public Works. Am I finished? Okay. Education for life. Thanks. Finished. Okay, there must be some of the priorities of both the Department of Education and Public Works. Let's give our learners something to be proud of and give them their dignity back. Education for life. Thank you.
I will now call upon the Honorable FT Mashiane, Action SA, 4 minutes.
Honourable Speaker, the condition of school infrastructure in the Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality is not merely an administrative concern. It is a direct reflection of whether this government values the dignity, safety and future of our children. Across many communities, learners continue to attend schools with dilapidated classrooms, broken sanitation facilities, leaking roofs, unsafe structures, overcrowded classrooms and inadequate learning environments. These are not just infrastructure failures. They are violation of the constitutional rights of learners to dignity, safety, equality, and quality basic education. Action SA believes that no child should be expected to learn in conditions that compromise their health, safety, or future prospects. A school must be a place of opportunity, protection, and development, not a place where learners fear collapsing ceilings, unsafe pit toilets, or classrooms that become unusable during bad weather. Honourable Speaker, the reality in many rural and township schools within Chief Albert Luthuli municipality exposes the continued neglect of young people by government. While billions are announced in budget and plans, learners continue to suffer on the ground. Communities are repeatedly given promises while infrastructure projects are delayed, abandoned, or poorly implemented. We further believe that the continued deterioration of school infrastructure contributes directly to broader social challenges affecting young people. When schools are unsafe, overcrowded, and poorly maintained, learners become demotivated, dropout rates increase, and communities lose confidence in the education system. Honourable Speaker, The issue of sanitation in schools remains particularly concerning. It is unacceptable that in a democratic South Africa, learners still face unsafe and undignified sanitation conditions. Every learner deserves access to clean water, hygienic toilet, electricity, proper fencing, libraries, laboratories, and classrooms that uphold their dignity. We also called for greater transparency and oversight regarding infrastructure budgets and contractors appointed for school projects. Too often, incomplete projects, poor workmanship, and backlogs continue without consequences. The children of Chief Albert Luthuli municipality deserve better. Their dreams and ambitions should not be limited by broken infrastructure. Education remains one of the most tools to fight poverty, unemployment, crime, and inequality. Therefore, we call on the Department of Education to urgently conduct comprehensive infrastructure audits in schools across the municipality and in the whole province, in fact, accelerate maintenance and infrastructure upgrades, prioritize learner safety, and ensure that all schools meet acceptable standards for teaching and learning. We owe it to the youth of this province to protect their future through action, not empty promises. I thank you.
I now call upon the Honorable T.S. Tomo from the ANC, and you're given 8 minutes.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. Probably, Speaker, before I venture into my speech, let me just make two preliminary points, if not three. One, the motion was sponsored by the Democratic Alliance, and it is embarrassing to come here when the person who has sponsored that motion indicates that he is relying on feelings, on how the results in the schools in Chief Albert Luthuli are declining. You don't use feelings at this level. You use data. You interface with literature so that you can have at least a know-how of how the world is happening or is doing. The second thing is that I want to congratulate all graduates here in Mpumalanga that are graduating this season. One of them is Dr. Mzwake Nkosi, who is a 32-year-old young man from Gersibande in Msugalikwa, who is a branch secretary of the ANC, which is a proof that young people of the ANC and leaders of the ANC, they do interface with literature. The last point that I want to make as I venture into my speech is that if you sponsor a motion, or how we were taught at school when you debate, you don't just go around, you deal with specifics. So you said we must deal with schools in Chief Albert Luthuli, but you are quoting Steve Chwete and others. So let's focus on Chief Albert Luthuli. Madam Speaker, one of the recurring weaknesses in this debate, particularly from members of the opposition, is the tendency of reducing this complex developmental question into a political slogans and emotional convenient narratives. In doing so, some unfortunately lose sight and detach the discourse from the realities that school infrastructure delivery is not just an abstract political argument, but a product of the governance systems and planning cycle of government, shaped by historical backlogs arising from the long-term spatial development patterns, maintenance life cycle, procurement regulations, demographic pressure, as well as prevailing budget realities. Therefore, meaningful engagement with this matter requires far more than outrage, selective criticism, and rhetorical populism. We require data, and people must interface with literature. It requires an honest appreciation of the structural reality confronting government, together with a sober recognition of the sustained interventions continuously undertaken by the ANC-led government in responding to the realities of schooling infrastructure and the conditions of schools across communities within the Chief Albert Luthuli. Madam Speaker, the relationship between educational infrastructure and educational outcome is neither accidental nor cosmetic. It is a direct, measurable, and developmental in character. Classroom conditions, sanitation, water and learner safety, accessibility, and learning-specific density all directly influence learner performance, educational retention, psychosocial well-being, and long-term human capital development. Honorable Speaker and members, the conditions of school infrastructure in Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality cannot be separated from the historical legacy of apartheid spatial planning, which left many rural communities structurally underdeveloped and facing significant infrastructure backlog. It is against this historical reality that the ANC-led government continued to undertake various interventions aimed at addressing historical infrastructure backlogs and improving the overall conditions of schools within Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality. Honorable Speaker, the provincial government continues to invest meaningfully in the future of Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality schools through more than 76 million allocated towards school infrastructure development and maintenance, with over 63 million planned for the 2026-2027 financial year alone. This investment includes the construction of classrooms and grade R facilities, refurbishment of aging schools, storm damages, repairs, sanitation's upgrade, and installation of fencing and guardhouses to improve learner safety and protect public infrastructure. These schools include Badplas Light School, Glen Eland Combined School, Silinzile Primary, Mtimba Primary, Banvabethu Secondary School, Likuku Secondary School, and Lilanga Secondary School, amongst others. These interventions form part of the provincial government's ongoing commitment to ensuring the children, including those in communities such as Nhlazatshe, Don Donald, Caroline, Badplas, Egulinden, and Mayflower, receive quality education within safe, dignified, and conducive learning environments comparably to those available in urban centers and other communities across the province. Madam Speaker and members, the provincial government commitments to improving schools conditions in Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality is informed by a clear understanding that we continue to experience infrastructure pressures associated with aging facilities, storm-related damages, and growing demand for education services. It is for this reason that during the 2025-2026 financial year, the provincial government prioritized investment in educational infrastructure as part of broader program of social transformation and spatial justice. In the Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality, these interventions include the completion of repair to storm damaged infrastructure at Sibongakwange Primary School, specifically the library and staff room blocks. At Rev S.A. Nkosi Secondary School, government completed repairs across blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. At Angels Dry Primary School, damaged infrastructure was repaired, while at Kanya Primary School, storm-damaged classroom blocks were fully restored. Furthermore, at Ngabezweni Secondary School, the construction of perimeter fence and guardhouses was completed to strengthen safety and access control. At Kaduma Primary School, a comprehensive renovation were undertaken covering 4 classroom blocks as well as the administrative blocks. At Linza Loguhle Primary School, maintenance works were completed involving 12 classrooms, grade R and grade RR classrooms at administration blocks, 18 EnviroLoo toilets, as well as electrical and mechanical installations. Madam Speaker, these have not been abstract commitment, but practical interventions taking place within schools across Chief Albert Luthuli local municipality, directly improving learning condition, restoring dignity, and strengthening the government capacity to deliver quality education for our children. We also have an active infrastructure project being implemented by the Department of Public Works, Road and Transport, currently underway at Likuku Secondary School, involving maintenance of the administration block, 21 classrooms, and laboratory facilities. Madam Speaker, while challenges remain, the provincial government has continued to expand the education infrastructure base as the necessity, support quality education, social dignity, and long-term human development. The future of children of school, the future of the children of Chief Albert Luthuli cannot be separated from the quality of learning environment we create today. School infrastructure remains ultimately an investment in human capability, social justice, and economic possibilities. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I now call upon the Honorable S.J. Masango from the Democratic Alliance, and you're given 2 minutes.
Honourable Speaker, thank you. And let me take this opportunity to thank all the parties and the members that actually participated in this debate. But one thing I hear from the ANC is just denial, 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 nothing else. What is on the ground, Honourable MEC Tomo, is not what you're saying. And you are not the first MEC actually to tell us you are doing something and totally nothing is being seen on the ground. Let's do something that can be seen on the ground. Honorable Posa, I like the way you said, but unfortunately you wanted to speak on behalf of the committee, but you can't speak on behalf of the DA. You speak on behalf of the ANC. You said I didn't indicate which, which schools are actually dilapidated, but you didn't also say which one are not. You see, that's the problem. You also can't even mention one that is better than the rest. There is no one. I mean, I was with you throughout. There is no one that is better than the rest.
As you conclude.
No, why I conclude? Honourable Speaker, for the past 32 years, you know, we have been listening. We are doing this. We have so many billions for this. You can't take money and throw it to the problem and think the money is going to be solved by that problem. You need capable people, people with capacity to use that money. Unfortunately, the ANC is just throwing everything to the problem, but the problem doesn't get solved. I can speak about the schools in Bushbuckridge that I visited in 2012. They were, because of the storm, they are still there, some of them. Nothing has been done. And we're saying we're doing something. Why don't we get those schools in Bushbuckridge in order so that we can see them? Chair, the problem with the ANC is that they are not taking people seriously. And there is a number of children that are dying
Your time is
in the
up.
pet toilets, and for them it's nothing as long as their brothers and sisters are getting money. Thank you, Speaker.
Now the question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion agreed to.
No.
Those who say yes, they must show their hands.
We support it. Yes, we support.
Those who say no, the motion is agreed to. Orders of the day, the Secretary shall read the first order of the day.
Order number 1, snap debate on Workers' Day.
I have a speakers list in front of me. I will now call upon the Honorable Al-Er Munini from the ANC, and you are given 5 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, members of the Provincial Legislature, members of the Executive Council and community members present here, good afternoon. It is an honor to be part of this debate. As a point of departure, I wish to state that post-1994 to date, South Africa's constitutionalism is based on a legal doctrine that government authority is derived from and limited by the fundamental body of law called the Constitution, and that any institution such as companies, individuals, private companies, public institutions, and within the jurisdiction of South Africa shall comply with the Constitution. In respect of workers and the work environment, Section 23 of the Constitution unequivocally set a precedent that everyone has a right to fair labor practice, and every worker has a right to form and join a trade union to participate in the activities and programs of a trade union, including a right to strike. Therefore, it is imperative to protect individual rights and liberties against arbitrary rule and deviation from the above constitutional provision of Section 23. The expectation is that everyone within everyone within the jurisdiction of South Africa shall follow suit in abiding to this supreme provision of the law. Having said this, workers as the backbone are important to an important segment to ensure that South African economy and that of the whole world thrive. Workers make a substantial contribution as part of a broader economy to our social and developmental agenda. Post-1994, the first was to institute legal and institutional mechanism to ensure that the work environment becomes law. The paradigm shift compared to the past dispensation witnessed a historic movement in the promulgation of the legislation such as the Basic Condition of Employment Act. Therefore, Honourable Speaker, I will unequivocally and unapologetically state that any work environment which doesn't accede to our constitution of a fair and just work environment is not only at loggerheads with the workers, but is a counter-revolutionary of a revolution and democracy. We expect that every work environment must be conducive and productive. We are all aware that some employers are not adhering to the prescript of the law. The majority of employees, especially in the private sector, are not unionized, largely because of threats by their respective ruthless employers. That is when they intend unionizing themselves. And the retail sector here, Honourable Speaker, are the biggest culprits. In some instances, workers are not entitled to the benefits stipulated in the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, such as family responsibility leave, maternity leave, sick leave, etc. Further, in some instances, workers are required to work abnormal hours which are not equivalent to the remuneration they get. Similarly, some employers have not registered their employees with the Department of Labour. We view all these instances as exploitation and undermining the prescript of the law. Honourable Speaker, I would like to submit that as a starting point in dealing with the predicaments of some of workplaces, we need to convene different federations in our province to get a sense of how their unions affiliates assist workers. Secondly, we need to embark on a public participation drive to stay abreast of some workplaces and devise mechanisms for interventions. Equally, I would like to impress upon every member of this House to embark on programs related to workers and their work environment. In all these instances, we will be resolving most of the debacles taking place in the workplace. Honourable Speaker, as I conclude, I want to echo the biggest federations, that is COSATO, the biggest federation in the continent. They made a clarion that to call for Workers' Day as a non-trading economy. And this is because we still have employers that will keep workers at workplace instead of allowing them to go and celebrate. I thank you.
I will now call upon the Honorable P. Shongwe from the MKP, 6 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, members, and most importantly, the workers of Mpumalanga and the ground forces of Umkhonto weSizwe. Honorable Speaker, it is with great humility that I accepted the call by my party, Umkhonto weSizwe, to represent it in this emotional debate. Today, we do not just commemorate Workers' Day, but we also remember why it exists. We remember 1986. We remember the stayaways. We remember mine workers in Witbank, farm workers in Mkomati Port, domestic workers in Bombela, people who refused to be slaves in the land of their birth. They fought for 8-hour days. They fought for a living wage. They fought for the right to join unions without being fired, beaten, or killed. Honorable Speaker, because of them, we have the Labor Relation Act, we have the Basic Condition of Employment Act, we have the Constitution that says every worker has dignity. Honorable Speaker, I did not come here to read history. I came here to ask, what does Workers' Day mean in Mpumalanga in 2026? We honor workers who will still carry this province. We honor the nurses at Temba and the hospital and other hospitals who work for 16 hours because some posts are vacant and remain unfilled with no proper reason. We honor the power stations artisans at Gusile, Amajuba, and Camden, who always keep the lights on while contractors steal the coal. We honor the farm workers in Komazi and other farms in the province who still earns 27 rand per hour with no transport, no toilets in the field. We honor the EPWP workers sweeping streets in Emalahleni, Mbombela, Dipaliseng, Emakazeni, and other municipalities, who, despite doing such work, still have no pension, no UIF, no contract, but are told to clap hands at every sword-turning event by the non-caring ANC-led government. Honorable Speaker, these are the people who built this province. They are not just laborers. They are not human capitals. They are mothers, fathers, and breadwinners. Today we say siyabonga kubo, siyanibona. It is important to know that gratitude without action is an insult. The betrayal that the ANC-led government has done is failure to create adequate jobs, as much as they have betrayed their own members and workers by breaching their own constitution. Act of Misconduct, Section 25.17.4.1 and .4.2, by acting in collaboration with counter-revolutionary forces, contrary to their aims, objectives, and policies. Hence, Stats SA says Mpumalanga unemployment is 32.9, youth unemployment is 46.3. Honorable Speaker, how many of those jobs are permanent, pensionable, and pay above 6,000 rand? Because EPWP is not a job. CWP is not a career. Stipends are not salaries. Our young people don't want to wear orange bibs every 6 months. They want to wear overalls for 30 years. Where are the factories? Where are the industrialization we were promised? Honorable Speaker, where are the labor unions that were once at the forefront of defending workers' rights? Why does it increasingly appear that many have abandoned the struggle of ordinary people in favor of comfort, boardrooms, and alliances with white monopoly capitals? May Day or Workers' Day was meant to symbolize the fight for workers. Honorable Speaker, as I move towards closing, may I say we have legislated poverty and call it minimum wage. The cost of living rises all the time, but salaries do not match inflation. What must be done? MK knows that workers don't need more speeches, they need decisions. No more tenders, that steals 40% before workers is paid. Workers build this province. It is time for government to work for the people. Until every job is safe, permanent, and pays a living wage, the struggle continues. Amandla, ngiyabonga, Honorable Speaker.
I will call upon the Honorable RJ Malachi from the EFF, 5 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, I rise as uncompromising voice of the working class of this country. Those who labor builds our municipality, powers our minds and sustain our public service, yet remain the first to suffer. We can never remain silent while 247 security guards in Nkomazi local municipality are retrenched overnight, not because their work is no longer needed, but because a tender has been handed to a service provider whose only qualification is approximately to political connections and profit motives. This is exploitation at its best. About 1,400 and 5,000 workers were pushed out and replaced by contractors at Siriti Mine. These are fathers and mothers who dedicated their life to dangerous essential work, only to be discarded like trash. In hospitals and clinics like Mapulaneng, Embuleni, Kanyamazani, Langloop CHC, healthcare workers are carrying impossible burdens. Staff shortages have created unsafe working conditions, overtime delayed, stipends are unpaid, yet these workers are expected to perform miracles in collapsing conditions. Workers went months without pay in Nkomazi municipality, while their medical aid deduction vanished into corruption and mismanagement. What kind of government deducts from workers and fails to forward these funds to the relevant channels? That is not administration, that is theft from the poor. Teachers in the rural schools, including Sanzile Primary in Kabokweni, Kusasa Letu in Govenberg, and Makubuda in Komazi are crying loud because they are understaffed. Children are being taught in overcrowded classrooms or left unattended, while we have qualified youth with teaching certificate under the mattress at home, unemployed and forgotten. This is a betrayal of the future. The expanded public works programs continue to offer poverty wages with no security, trapping workers endless cycle of vulnerability instead of providing real permanent employment. Honorable Speaker, the EFF maintains a clear and revolutionary position that the state must insource all critical services across government. Security guards, cleaning, healthcare support, infrastructure maintenance, and public service roles must be brought back into permanent public employment. We reject the tender system that has become feeding racks of elites while workers are sacrificed. Insourcing is not a slogan. It is correction of historical injustice. It is the restoration of dignity to workers who have been treated as disposable tools of profit. It is how we end corruption at its source, by removing the middlemen who profit from human sufferings. We need to ensure a province where workers are not retrenched to make room for tenders, where nurses and doctors are supported instead of broken, where the teachers are enough in number to teach every child, and where youth are not reduced to a certificate under mattress but are absorbed into the growing productive economy. And let it be said clearly in this house today that if this ANC-led government continues to choose contract over people, if it continues to protect corruption while workers starve, then it is declaring war on its own people. The EFF will not be neutral in that war. We will stand where we have always stood, with the workers, with the poor, with the unemployed, and we will never retrench until dignity is no longer promised but a reality. We will not accept systems that protect contracts over people. We will not accept government that negotiate with corruption while workers starve. Workers build this province and will own its future. I thank you.
I will now call upon the Honorable M. N. Mhlongo from the ANC, and you're given 5 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Members of the Executive Council, Honorable Members of the Provincial Legislature. Honorable Speaker, today I rise not just to commemorate Workers' Day, but to honor the blood, sweat, and sacrifices of the working class who built this nation. Workers' Day is not only a holiday, but a reminder of the struggle that continues. As members of the African National Congress, we are products of workers' resistance. From the mines to the factories, from the farms to offices, it was the workers who stood firm against exploitation and injustice. It was workers who strengthened the liberation movement and carried the vision of democratic South Africa. Honorable Speaker, we first inaugurated our first Workers' Day as an official national public holiday following our first democratic election of 1994. So as the ANC-led government, we will always remember effort made by our heroes and heroines who fought side by side with the liberation movement to bring about freedom in South Africa. It is therefore our historic obligation to give support to this day and also support the revolutionary concerns of the working class movement led by COSATU. There are still many South Africans who work under very poor working conditions. It is our task to go out there and make it a point that these conditions are improved for the better. It is these exploited workers who continuously give strength, support, and protections to the gains and fruits of the hard-fought revolution, and that is why enemy of agent are worried about the unity of workers under the leadership of COSATU. We must ensure that economic transformation is not a slogan, but a lived reality for every worker in South Africa. Workers' Day must inspire action. It must remind us that without workers, there is no economy. Without workers, there is no progress, and without workers, there is no future. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, we must continue to fight for a living wage, decent work, and better South Africa for all of us, black and white. Let us honor them, not only in words, but in deeds. I thank you.
I now call upon the Honorable TMJ Grovier Morgan from the Democratic Alliance. 4
You
minutes.
don't continue to fight, you implement, you are in government. You are in government. Young and in government, you must know to implement.
Honorable Kibi, I did not recognize you. I have a speakers list in front of me, and you are not part of that.
Honorable Speaker and fellow members of this August House, today as we honor the dedication, resilience, and invaluable contributions of all South African workers whom form the backbone of our economy and our country, we must also be honest with ourselves that since 1994, with our long and sordid history of labor and social conflicts, our economy is stagnant and not creating enough jobs for our people. This needs to be addressed through radical and aggressive steps. Honorable Speaker, as much as we would like to pretend that the ANC government failure to control borders since 1994 is not a major contribution factor to the current expanded unemployment rate of 43% in South Africa, which leads to the elephant that is engulfing our country today, the so-called xenophobic attacks on fellow Africans. It is, and this needs to be addressed frankly and unapologetically. We cannot stand here year after year with fancy and unrealistic speeches on Workers' Day, while millions of South African citizens are sitting at home without jobs because of ANC policies that allow anyone to enter our country at will to take food out of the mouths of our people. In 1994, Honorable Speaker, South Africans queued for hours to cast their votes after being promised dignity, jobs, houses, water, electricity, healthcare, and respect. Well, what happened to those promises? Honorable Speaker, I will tell you where they went. All those resources are taken by the millions of undocumented immigrants who are in our country at will because the ANC government is allowing them to. Honorable Speaker, we are lying to ourselves if we claim to be celebrating Workers' Day, while Mpumalanga province is sitting at 49% youth unemployment. Honorable Speaker, I believe that our people can create their own jobs, build their own houses, and pay for water, electricity, healthcare, but only if policies of government allow them to. Our government, Honorable Speaker, need to enforce strict laws that reserve small-scale businesses exclusively for South African citizens, not undocumented immigrants. Our government needs to come up with a policy that states categorically that all the spaza shops, salons, small restaurants, and street vendings are reserved for South Africans. That way we will be protecting South Africans from being displaced from their own economy by undocumented immigrants. Don't get me wrong, Honorable Speaker. I'm not saying foreign nationals must not be allowed to open businesses in South Africa. I'm saying they should follow the regulations of the Companies Act 71 of 2008, which stipulates the following. They must register with the CIPC, get a business visa to operate, invest at least 5 million capital from abroad, employ at least 60% South African citizen, register for tax with the South African Revenue Services. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, it cannot be diplomatically or politically correct to expect South Africa to accommodate millions of undocumented immigrants and drug dealers from all over African continent for fear of being called names. It is diplomatically logical that for African leaders to take responsibility for their respective nations and citizens. I thank you.
Tupa.
I will now call upon the Honorable W.L. Weber, Freedom Front Plus, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Workers' Day is celebrated internationally. It's an international Workers' Day. But I plead for balance. There can't be workers without employers. There can't be factory workers without a factory that survives. There can't be farm workers without a farm that survives. Workers and employers must work hand in glove with one another. We need both. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I now call upon the Honorable F.T. Mashiane from the Action SA, 2 minutes.
I'll use 30 seconds, Speaker. Honourable Speaker, let me first honour the 3 Lily mine workers who are still at work from February 5, 2016, 10 years without leave, 10 years without a salary, and 10 years without a break. That is Workers' Day for me. And I will also plead with the ANC to talk to the Minister of Social Development, not to take half salary of his workers, of her workers. Thank you.
I now call upon the Honorable Sikwako from the ANC, 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. For the world to survive, work has to become a priority. That is why Workers' Day is celebrated worldwide to honor the contribution of workers, promote labor rights through the democratic breakthrough in 1994. Our country is widely respected as one of the countries that uphold and respect the workers' rights. It must be understood that there is more to be done, especially around the plight of farm dwellers who still experience exploitation and the poor living conditions. The workforce takes center stage as this highlights our importance workers in the shaping civilian while ensuring generational sustainability. We stand here 32 years into our democracy, affirming the ANC remains that the only reliable movement capable of balancing economic growth and social justice. The manifestation of the 3 strategic priorities of the 7th administration rest on the shoulders of every worker in this country, especially as it relates to driving inclusive economic growth and job creation, reduction of poverty and tackling the high cost of living, as well as building capable, ethical and developmental state. Workers' Day is not just a public holiday, but a hard-won victory for the labor movement against the triple challenges. This year marks a critical juncture as we celebrate the golden jubilee of the 1976 youth uprising, align our labor efforts with the youth of putting young South Africans to work. The ANC reaffirms support to the national minimum wage adjustment, ensuring that the working poor are protected against the rising cost of living, as well as the Employment Equity Amendment Act 4 of 2002 and the Basic Condition of Employment Act 75 of 1997, which serves to achieve the workforce equality by eliminating unfair discrimination and implementation affirmative action to redress historical advantages. Honorable Speaker, the Employment Service Amendment Bill is not about inclusion, it's about South African first. We are ensuring that the children of Mpumalanga are the primary beneficiaries of Nkomazi SEZ and our growing tourism sector. Through the UIF Labor Activation Program, we are turning beneficiaries into employees. We are moving away from a culture of handouts to a culture of skills development and industrial participation. The opposition speaks of loosening labor laws. In the ANC language, that means exploitation workers. We will never allow a return to a master-servant labor regime. Grandstanding on the floor does not create jobs. Policy certainty and infrastructure investment like our N4 ring road project create jobs. To defend the gains and the minimum wage, the 8-hour working day and the workplace safety, workers must organize and mobilize under the banner of the ANC. Honorable Speaker, the dignity of workers is not found in the paychecks alone, but in the security of the tenure and the safety of their environment, and the hope they have in their children's future as the ANC. We do not only advocate for job creation, we advocate for conditions for dignity of the workers. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, as the ANC commits to the workers of Mpumalanga is unshakable. From the farm workers in Oderberg to the miners in Emalahleni, we are your voice. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
That
Switlhe swi ku danisa.
Honorable Chibi, are you a presiding officer? That concludes the debate on Workers' Day. That concludes the business for the day. You are all requested to remain standing in your places until the procession has left the chamber. The House is adjourned until Tuesday, the 19th of May 2026 at 2:15 in this very same chamber. Thank you.